In the beginning, God said, Brian Light speaking. Can I help you, sir, ma'am?
Light warrior,
Hello?
you and your friends, your precious light. You can't save them all.
Watch us. Hey, good morning, everybody. And welcome to episode 2. Yes, of Our Light. It's going to be so awesome. I see Hunter has joined us and Melissa has joined us. And thank you for all joining. And what we're going to do for the next hour is we're going to, discuss, what has been a positive light in our lives. Um, what has made us, be able to defeat the darkness, that's within our own lives, or even someone else's life, that's close to us. Uh, so, without further ado, let me go ahead and start with our first special guest, Melissa Houston. You all know her, you love her, my sister from another mother. Let's give it up for Melissa Houston. Yeah!
Hi guys. Wow, that's good energy, right? Like it's Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you guys being here. I see a few friends in the audience. Hi guys. Thanks for showing up. I love what you're doing though. Can I tell you that? It is so hard to be a human sometimes, and what you're focusing on is the hope that keeps us moving, right? There's a lot to it, and I hope people go and stalk you a bit and figure out who you are and what you're up to. But reality is positivity, happiness, being there, holding each other up when we're down. That's what I get from you. And Hunter, I could be wrong, but is that the vibe you get when you talk about Brian?
That's it. In
Oh,
fact,
you.
one of the things um, Samantha posted something this morning, and have y'all ever seen where What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams?
I did. That was such a trippy movie. It stuck
Yeah.
with me forever.
Yeah, and the post that Samantha posted this morning, automatically, bam, the first thing that popped in my head, and I'm like, that's same
He's talking
thing.
about Samantha Sierra, guys, because not
Yeah,
everybody knows the cool kids, right? So let's be friendly to everybody. Samantha Sierra
yeah,
is LinkedIn Hype Woman. That is her title. She has come out recently and started sharing some of her past battles in life very openly. And she sent me a podcast she did recently.
It's so powerful.
So powerful. So powerful. I love her so much. I met her last fall. I want to say in November or something. And she was getting ready to do this meme off, or do you even meme, bro? I dared her to do it. Like, bring it to LinkedIn. If you talk to me, you guys know I say do LinkedIn your own way. And
yeah,
she is. And she's finally opening up on some really tough battles. Super
yeah,
tough battles. So go check her out, Samantha Sierra.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Brian.
Because
Tell her we're here talking about her too. It's so nice of them that we're behind their back without telling them.
yeah,
Even if it's good stuff.
yeah. But it just hit me, because I'm sure some of y'all have seen some of my posts before, where I flat out, at the end of the post, I say we can save them all, and the can is in capital letters, because watching that movie, you know, he was told numerous times that he would fail in saving his wife, you know, and he did it because he believed, he had hope, he had love, you know.
Sam, we're talking about you. I see you in the audience. I just have to interject. Miss Sierra is here. We're talking about what dreams may come, the post that you,
Yeah.
you did today, and motivated Brian to just have a bit of a conversation. So we wanted you to know we were talking about you. So the thing I can tell you guys, if you've never seen it, I don't want to ruin the movie for everybody, but it's totally worth watching. It's like Van Gogh and cake in a blender with like some self interflection and reflection, and just makes you take it all in. At 13, I was confused and thought somebody was really stoned when they put it together. But as a grown up, looking back at what life is, it's kind of a tough watch. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it is.
We should say hi to Hunter. I took over the conversation.
Oh.
You're good. I had never seen that movie, so I'm like just sitting here learning.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Let's welcome Hunter to the show. This guy is on the forefront, you know, of bringing the light to not only the next generation, but to generations to follow. I remember the first time we ever talked. We did a Zoom, and we talked about, you know, how his area of robotics and teaching children, you know, because robotics, you know, whether we like it or not, it's going to be the future, you know, in some way, shape, or form.
I have been planning for Rosie since the Jetsons, so please stop hating on technology. I need a maid. I need a maid. I don't need to feel guilty about it. As long as I charge her, she's happy, right?
But
Let's
you know,
get it together, because Roomba's cool, but I need
Yeah.
those dishes done.
Roombas.
No, but they don't. The dishwasher does not load itself.
but you know, Rosie ran that house though.
That's okay. Let her run it. I will sit there and smile at that lady. Let her do it.
We actually call our Roomba Rosie. That's the name of our little. It's not a Roomba. It's like a off-brand, but yeah, a little
Come on.
vacuum robot. We call it Rosie.
Is that even? Let's talk about the Jetsons. George wouldn't even get out of bed, and the bed would make itself. It would lift him up. It would put him in his closet. It would brush his teeth. He would stand up with him in the car. Some of us need that in our lives.
Yeah.
Not me, but some of us. It would be cool. I might let it take over for me if it. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Technology is not going anywhere, guys, because Melissa's begging for Rosie. That's the thing.
Okay. Well, hey. How about Melissa? You go ahead and give us a little insight into who you are. You know, on you know, here in LinkedIn. You know, the professional side. You know, that way everybody can get kind of a feel of, you know, okay, well, she's on the show. What does she do professionally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't know me, strap in. Here we go. I am a professional coach and consultant. I have been doing that since 2015, helping businesses grow. Realized very quickly in helping businesses grow, most of the reason they weren't growing is the leader got too busy, right? And was overwhelmed and couldn't focus. And so then helping the business meant helping the leadership. That turned into coaching one-on-one. That was my side hustle, kind of, because my biggest client, my consulting client, was a background screening firm. I've been doing backgrounds for about a decade, and just over, actually. I am on my fourth business that I've been helping to grow in this realm, but this time I'm managing director. It's Expert Background Solutions. We help employers screen effectively, volunteer organizations too, but my team has 50 years of experience. My client was a client before he was a client, and so what I did was take my best client, the one I loved working with the most, and said, what are you going to do when your background screening company closes? Because I was serving him in my last role in that way, and then my client died, leukemia, out of nowhere. This happened the same day I boarded a plane to put my mom to rest. So I lost my mom, I lost my career, we had 60 days to dissolve. I grabbed the biggest client, the one I loved the most, and said, hey, how do we fix this? What do we do? And that's when Expert was born. That's like my day job. That's the short version. But I was also homeless at 13 the first time, and it took a lot of wherewithal and determination to get to where I am today. So I'm always looking around, wondering who's dealing with what that they're not talking about. I'm trying to have those conversations, and that, I think, is what brought Brian and I together. I can't be sure, but it's the authenticity and the true stories and the grit and determination and the victorious mindset that draws me to people. And so that's why I'm here.
Thank you very much, Melissa. And yeah, it was a combination. I remember your first post that hit on a professional, but at the same time a personal level. was where you talked about your childhood, you know, and it sang out to me. I was like, this is a light warrior. You know, she is she is one of the strongest light warriors that I've ever seen because of her time on this planet. That her life. What she's been through. You know, having having stared into the to the sorry,
All
I'm just
right.
getting hooked.
No, it's
But
okay, guys. I mean,
you know,
listen, I'm an abuse survivor. My mom's boyfriend went to prison for it, and then I ran away the first time when she tried to pull me out of school to celebrate his release the day of. We were all going to go to dinner. It was or lunch or whatever. Like my mom wasn't mentally stable. She also had a drug addiction, and you add all of that into a blender, and it's chaos. But they have a quote that I wrote at 16, and I think this is something that resonates as well for the light ring. But it's victory and victim both start out the same. It's up to you how it ends. And I
yeah,
wrote that suicidal on the side of the road, literally thinking about jumping into traffic because it seemed like a way better option than to deal with all of that stuff. But I didn't because I knew there was something more. And so now I wake up every day and I pray and I'm just like, do what you want with me. Just make sure you light it up. I need flashing lights because I like shining. And God works that
yeah,
way for me.
yeah,
And so, yeah, that's what I try to do on LinkedIn. And honestly, I'm looking in their room and half of these people in the room, I'm like, oh, I've tried to put shine my light on them because I love what they do or because I think they're powerful in some way and they need to spread their message. And I
yeah,
just love it. I
yeah,
appreciate you guys for being here. You know who you are. I love you all.
yeah, yeah. That's because you know not everybody you know has the what we see here on social media. Is you see somebody and you're like, oh well, they're pretty or they're handsome and look how many followers they have and all that. you know that's what we see right now, the here and now. We don't know anything about what happened to them 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. you know I met a couple. This was back in my early 20s when I first went into the army, and they you know 30 years old, 30, 40 years older than me, and it seemed like they had it all together, perfect life. But they actually, one of them actually knew. Trying to remember what her name was. I'm having a uh, what do you call it, a brain fart, kind of, sort of. Uh,
It'll come to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were survivors of World War II, and they actually knew uh, the girl that wrote the diary in World
Anne
War
Frank.
II. Huh?
Anne Frank.
Yes. Yes. They actually knew her, and they had actually moved, like, their family had moved like a year before that. And so they
Oh,
knew,
wow.
they actually went to school with her and everything. And it was like, but they didn't move. They still moved within Germany, but not, far enough away, to where it didn't affect them eventually later down, later down the road. So, yeah, people sit there and, they want to, look at people and judge them. And that's just, we can't judge people, because we don't know what's going on, you know.
You know, yeah, I've had people who have money that we all strive to have come to me and doubt themselves. I have given free coaching to somebody who was a two-time mayor and they weren't sure what to do with themselves next. Imposter syndrome, voted in twice by a whole city, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing what people struggle with.
Yep.
But Knowing you're not alone is important, guys. And right now, look around this room. You're all in the same room together. If you're not friends yet, go check these people out. Right? I, let's talk about some of these friends. I don't know any of these people, but I know these people. Right? So Susanna Dawn, I know Susanna Dawn. I know of a former version of Susanna. And I know there's storytelling there, and there's books coming, and I know that Susanna talks about boxes, and I dig it. Nakia, hi, I see you. I'm still looking for my hat. Me and you need to get together for that beanie girl. Thank you. Omar, hi, I see you all the time. Samantha is at work, says it's my badassery is what she follows. I'm quoting, that's what I'm just saying. But she said she'd be here if she wasn't at work, right? I see Lonnie down there. I see Miss Lonnie everywhere. Thanks. Bree, man, she's my stalker. She just said so on LinkedIn. You can go see it. But this lady is like top 15, gonna be on a magazine for fitness if you guys vote her in. Her journey is an amazing one. And I met her because of Lauren Sermon. I didn't know any of these people. Randy Baum, I met Lauren. Lauren Sermon was eating her granola, and I was like, why does Lauren get snacks? I want snacks. But all of these people bring light in ways that is phenomenal. All of them have their own presence here, and I would love to hang out with any of them, right? You guys, Hunter, like, you're already going to buy your background checks from me. You have no reason to need them. I want to hear from you, buddy. You're being quiet, and I talk too much.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. Well, Hunter, why don't you give us a little bit of background on you, about LinkedIn and your professional expertises.
Absolutely. So I got on LinkedIn officially last July or June, something like that. And I think my first like 3 or 4 posts were just job sharing because I had no idea what to do on this platform. And ever since then, it's just been a slow, 1% better every day kind of thing. A lot of people strive for that kind of stuff. So, trying to still, I think, find my voice and figure out what works for me and what doesn't work for me and all that good stuff. And, definitely gotta love the light warrior concept and just shining the light on people's days. Like to be an optimistic person. Professionally, I am an instructional technologist. That's my title. I teach teachers how to incorporate technology into their classrooms. I work a lot with students. I'm also a kind of a jack of all trades because I'm on the admin team. So they're like, both the counselors are out, and there's this kid that comes in crying, trying to find a counselor. I'm like, my door's open. I'm right here by the counselors coming in. What's going on? I can be a counselor if I need to. Just to give you a safe space to sit here and cry for a minute or whatever. So do that. Sometimes I'm assistant principal. Sometimes I need to go to the classroom and remove a kid from a classroom because they're, don't have their stuff together that day and they need a minute to go walk around or whatever. So I do love all of that. And then I mostly am on LinkedIn for presenting. So, Melissa was sitting here talking about these people and listening, which I appreciate y'all coming. I know like maybe a third of y'all that are down there listening. So I need to make some connections today. But yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn to help people leave lasting impressions with their presentations. So whether you are giving a training, whether you're presenting a product to a company, anything that you would consider a presentation, that's what I'm trying to help with. I actually just today, my post today was about a product that is absolutely free. It's just a little checklist for people who are making presentations. Learned about this thing called Gumroad from Sam, Samantha C are down there listening. Hey Sam. Learned about Gumroad.
I love she's first name basis, right? Like Madonna. It's Sam.
It's Sam. So I learned about that product, and a lot of these people I know probably for either from Melissa or from Lauren, who's down there listening too. Hey Lauren.
I know, Lauren. We were talking about you. Okay.
Yeah, we were.
But I blamed you for the.
It's all terrible things.
Marshmallow bar addiction for sure. That's true. Bree too. Lauren sent me my stalker Bree. Like I love it.
I'm gonna have to connect with her.
Yeah.
Oh guys, seriously, can I just tell you? I met Bree last week. This is how quick it happens, right? Lauren's like, hey, come on my show, Bree. I watch Bree on Lauren's show, and I'm just watching her muscles talk to me. I'm trying to pay attention to her, but her arms when she's being emphatic like me, because I talk with my hands, think New York, it's cool. But hers are just like flexing the whole time, and there's not a moment where they're not great. And then I'm like, crap, I can do push-ups. Like everybody knows I got bad hips, right? I got osteoarthritis, but I can do push-ups. Now I'm watching my diet. I told her this morning, so I cut back on an egg. I cut out a little bit of the sausage link that I usually add. What the heck? Don't be her friend if you like food, because she's gonna make you want to be healthy.
See, I
But these are
love
the
food.
lights, right? These are people who shine all the time. Look at Cindy, as Joy herself is in the right here.
Yep.
These people, when you hear their name, you already know, and these are light bringers, and I love you all for that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just about, like, to me, it's just about, breaking those misconceptions down. A lot of times, like, people think, like, oh, you never have a bad day if you're, trying to shine the light on people or whatever. It's like, yeah, we do. We have off days. Like, we just have skills or practices that we can put into place that can help us drag that out. Actually, I think Sam posted a post today that actually is inspired by. I already have a post ready for tomorrow. I've already got it scheduled for tomorrow morning because I got inspired by her post about just being in a dark place for a second. Actually, just had a recent exposure to this. So just because we're light warriors, it doesn't mean that we don't experience the darkness. It doesn't mean that we have light all the time. Like we're just going to shine whatever we can on you, and we just have like for me personally, I just know of some ways to get myself out of that. Like take that weight vest off, put it down. You don't need it. It's just dragging you down.
You guys,
Yeah.
and what he's talking about is just that moment of when you've been in the deep freezer and then you come out and it's warmer outside, right? You get to go step into the sun. He's talking about holding your breath underwater, going from one side of the pool to the other, and you hold and you hold and you hold. You breathe all the time, but that moment where you break the water after that swim is the best air you've had, right? Like you're just so grateful. Those people that are up here and the ones that are out here sharing our stories, we're bringing the light because we know what darkness looks like. We have been so close ourselves.
Yep.
You cannot appreciate it until you've been through it, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. You don't want to work with a boxer who's never taken a punch.
Yeah. True.
Don't trust people who have never been through it. Like, and we're humans. We've all been through it. But who's willing to acknowledge their journey and their failures and their shortcomings? There was a whole lot of time I was on LinkedIn. LinkedIn did not make me money. Like a decade. And that was my job, was to make money on LinkedIn. I was in a sales role and it didn't really do much. But now, being authentic, I'm turning people's money away, saying, sorry, I don't have time to coach this month. That's something that I never thought was going to happen just by telling my truth. But it's so unique because everybody's so scared to talk about how dark it can get sometimes. But guys,
Yeah.
it's a fact for everybody. Humans get sad.
Yep.
Humans struggle. Humans then get happy. And when look at Robin Williams. If that is not the example you need, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
Right?
Because and not just Robin Williams. You got Whitney Houston. You got Chester Bennington. You got
Tons of people.
you got Bo Cephas. Tons of people that we idolize and have given us hope and made us laugh and made us stop and think, and made us feel love.
Yeah.
But they didn't feel everything that they gave us, and that's why they took their life, because
Sometimes we forget, guys. Like, listen, everybody looks and goes, oh, they're LinkedIn famous. Who gives a shit about numbers? Pardon my French. Sorry. But seriously, because you know what? Those numbers don't hold you at night. Those numbers don't pay your bills.
Mm-hmm.
Those numbers don't care if you're super down and crying in the shower. They don't.
Yep.
It really doesn't. But the people who check in on you when you disappear are here on LinkedIn. The people who will notice when you haven't been around are here on LinkedIn. The people who check in Lauren and we like once a week. It's a magic thing. I was thinking about her today. I was like, I haven't talked to her, but Friday is usually mornings. Is like when I like to bother her before the show. I'm like, okay, so I haven't really seen you on LinkedIn. They don't want to show you to me, so tell me who's on your show today. But I'm always there. We're checking it. But those people are the ones who will know this. When you can reference somebody by first name and assume that all of LinkedIn knows Sam, that's profound, right? There's a ripple there. People care. And if you care about people, if they're making you feel better, can you tell them? Because they're pouring out, because they're probably not feeling great themselves.
Yeah, and and I know it's not Christmas time, but I really really love a Christmas Carol or Scrooge or whatever version of the movie they made it. The book is way better, the story, uh, but it always makes me think of the part where Scrooge faces his old partner, you know, Marley, and they talk about business, and then Marley's ghost says, "Mankind was my business." It's true. Well, you think that Fortune 500 companies making all that money on their own? No, they're making it off their customers. Mankind. You know, it's quite simple. You know, it's not a lot of things aren't rocket science out there. You know.
I think, but I think we detach a little bit, right? Because our bosses give us these boxes to check. To-do list. I'm a big fan of to-do lists. I'm a boss, so I give them out too. But
Yeah.
sometimes we forget there's a human who has to check those. And while we just handed them a list, so did their kid, their husband, the car with the check engine light. All of these other factors come in, and sometimes we forget that because we're also the humans with our own external checklist, right? And so, what I would ask you guys when you're struggling, number one, usually somebody helped you get to that feeling. I know this is not something we want to admit all the time, but we allow people to push us to a feeling or other, right? People can anger us, people can make us feel sad, they can make us feel lonely. There's a million things we allow them to let us feel. But if you stop and say, okay, when I look back at my mom, what she did was abuse. I do background checks, she would have been arrested had they known. But when I think back to her why, she was spanking me that one time because I was drinking with people over age, and I wasn't over age. And I lied about where I was. That was danger noodle, right? She was spanking me at that time because she was scared for me. I'm not making excuses, but her why wasn't anger. In a way that it was, I'm just hateful of you because you had fun, which is sometimes what kids think when you're punishing them for doing something they enjoy. Same with the boss. Why is this boss coming at me about my numbers? Well, is it because they hate me? No, it's because that accountability helps keep the wheels moving on the vehicle of the business, right? We've seen these layoffs. Sometimes that comes from bosses not telling their team what they really need to protect themselves. Hey, I need you to execute sales so I can pay you next month. That's how that works. Sometimes that's what accountability is. But figure out the where, the what, the whys. All of those simple who, what, where, when, whys can solve for a lot. When you're feeling lonely, ask yourself, why am I feeling lonely? When is the last time I reached out to somebody? Who could I pour into? Who am I missing most that I could dial?
And you got to really dig into that too. I mean,
Right.
like it takes time to sit there and think about stuff, and dig into like, well, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Like, what's the root cause?
Yes.
Because it takes some good reflection. You got to be able to ask yourself those tough questions.
Yeah.
And
There was a better. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say what I like to do is one of the things that I do after I kind of reflect on that stuff is then I start thinking about, what do I have gratitude of? Like, what am I thankful for? Or where can I show gratitude? What's good that I can think about that happened that day, yesterday, last week, whatever. It's, that gratitude's gonna make for a good attitude.
I love
Yeah.
that.
True.
I have a journal, guys. I screenshot. If you say something nice about me on the internet, I take a screenshot of you and I print it off and I put it in a planner. So when I get down and I'm like, why am I on LinkedIn? LinkedIn doesn't show anybody my stuff. Nobody likes me anymore. Nobody's showing up. Whatever it is, right? Because I'm a human. It happens in my brain sometimes too. I open that book and go, no, 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 no. Look at what so and so said. Oh no, look at who. Oh, I love this person, and they said this about me. And it's not because I care about what they're saying, but it's because people see value in you sometimes, and you need to be reminded of that.
Yep.
The other thing I would say is a nurse once gave me this advice. I am not giving you medical treatment. I'm just telling you what this lady said to me, and she happened to be a nurse. But HALT, HALT. If you're upset, if you're not feeling great, it's a great, quick assessment. Are you hungry? Rage, angry, lonely, tired? Because if you can solve for those four things, usually your emotional whatever, go research it. That's what I did on Google. I'm with my Google diploma up here. I'm giving this advice. But those things usually help your body solve for it, right? When your car's mad, if it doesn't have water, if it doesn't have fuel, if it doesn't have oil, whatever it is, it's going to give you symptoms. Same thing with your body. So just make sure you take care of you. Because all of those things, the HALT, come down to self-care.
Yep.
And a lot of the time when I'm down, it's because I'm not doing that part.
Well, and most of those, if I'm not mistaken, are from your, like, if you ever heard of or seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't have those basic needs met, your body and mind are not going to respond in an appropriate way.
Yep.
So you've got to have those basic needs met. Like, that's one of the, working in education, that's one of the top reasons why kids misbehave in the first place, is because they were up until 3 o'clock last night because the parents didn't make them go to bed. They're up playing video games or whatever.
They didn't eat before
They're
school.
sleepy. Yeah, exactly. They don't eat. They don't get here in enough time to eat the free breakfast that's provided for them. So then they're hungry. Of course they're going to be moody. Of course they're going to, be agitated and probably misbehave.
Yeah.
And when those kids are up and pestering you all the time, hey teacher, hey teacher, hey teacher, they're lonely. They want attention.
Yep. Because I've seen back when I was doing my graduate degree, some of my nighttime classes were 8 o'clock at night, and that's 3 hours, so I wouldn't get done until like 11 o'clock at night. And coming from the campus, I would pass, there's like a one strip along the highway that's a lot of restaurants, and I would see the parking lots full. And I remember one time I was hungry and I knew everybody at the house would be asleep, so I went in to go get me something to go. And you wouldn't believe, and this was on a school night. The kids had school the next day. You wouldn't believe how many kids, after 11 o'clock, in the restaurant with their parents. And it's like, yeah, that ain't good, because now their kid's going to be sleepy in class.
Well, and guys, imagine that, right? What if we all had different, and we all do as grown-ups, like some of us stayed up in our 20s and can go on 3 hours of sleep after that epic party and just work a shift. Some of us can't. After I hit 40, I'm over 40. I know I don't look it, but I am. After I hit 40, after 8 o'clock, good luck. My kids know, don't call me, don't text me, you better come shake me because my eyes are closing. I'm up at 4 a.m. My body does that naturally too. But what if we all held the same schedule and standard to what Melissa needed? Some of those kids don't have the functionality because their parents work until 10 at night. They're at the daycare, late hours. They don't get home. The dinner is 11 because that's their normal, because mom and dad work in the second shift or swing shift, right? That's scary to think that we're all holding these children to higher standards, plus sit still and don't talk, and there's only one grown up to 30 children or whatever the average is now. How much structure are they getting at home? How much structure are they getting in the classroom? And then we're forcing them forward. The pressure on these kids then turns into pressure on adults, because if they can pull it off at 8, why aren't they pulling it off at 18, 28, 38? And we still hold that standard. It's kind of crazy to me. It's chaotic. I don't understand it, but I am here for you. If you feel like you're struggling, please don't be alone. Just message. That's what we're here for, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because nobody's alone, out there. You may feel like you're alone, but I've met so many good people out here in the real world, and at first I was always skeptical. That's
I love that.
yeah, I was skeptical. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, but social media, because I've seen I've seen the reports. I remember back, what was it, one, two, three presidents ago, they busted all them hackers worldwide. With all the different law enforcement agencies. And some of them were on the dark web. So it's a dark world out there, and so you know trying to open up on social media, has been one of those things where it's quite uh, interesting at the time, because you're not really sure of where it's going to go. But like I tell people, and I remember posting a picture of Darth Vader in one of my posts many months ago, talking about, and I was able to caption it, and it said, "Your lack of vetting disturbs me," because there are a lot of bots out there. There's a lot of hackers. There's a lot of ill will, and there's people that I like to call them. In fact, I've already labeled them in the scripts. Uh, some of y'all that have been following me, know that I've been working on 3 different screenplays for the Light Warrior brand. Uh, and in there, you have, because the darkness is, granted, and I had someone ask me, well, who is the darkness, Brian? And I said, well, it's not a who, it's a what. And it's not just, one person, it's more than one. That's the reason why I always say they or them, because
And it could be
it's
things too, right? Like
yeah,
that check engine light is darkness.
yeah,
I know it's a light, but it's a dark light. It's one
yeah,
of those, man, get out of my
yeah,
dashboard. Why are you here?
yeah,
But it's different for everybody, and it depends on
yeah,
the time or the season.
yeah.
Mother's Day, it's a positive for a lot of people. This year was the first one without my mom. I was walking into this very haphazard, like I don't know, apprehensive. I was planning for the good, but not knowing what to expect, because those are one of those feelers that I don't have fine tuned yet. I don't know if you guys have lost a parent, but it's one of those things where I can't explain it. I always thought I understood loss, but a parent's different. And what I told people, and I'm sorry if this is upsetting to hear, because I know it could be a trigger if you've lost somebody, but for me, my mom was my storyteller of those people that I loved above her. Like, she was her grandma's girl, I was a grandma's girl, and it was like this traditional, habit in our family. The grandma spoils the first grandchild, and she's the favorite. And so all of the stories passed down of those people and all of that history went with her. And I think that loss sometimes can be just as bad. And you never know when it's going to hit. It could be Christmas. It could be your birthday. It could be really a positive day, or it could be Tuesday. I saw Brian Poindexter post about it today, about grief hitting at any time. Guys, he posted about it. He put it out there, and people can go and ridicule him. I've seen people on LinkedIn put their little badge on that they made in their own basement, because they don't give them out, I promise you, and said, hey, this doesn't belong here. But the reality is, I think it does. I've had people try to coach my team, people they didn't know I hired, people they didn't know I was coaching or helping build a coaching practice for them with, post food. And everybody said, hey, don't do that. Like, a bunch of people said it didn't belong on LinkedIn, but everybody I know who posts food does pretty well. Everybody I know on LinkedIn eats. Everybody I know on LinkedIn who works at corporate gets a free lunch once in a while, and that's a tax write-off, which makes it a business expense, right? And or a business expense that's a tax rate. That is professional. If the government's going to give you your money back for it, you're not allowed to say it's not business related. I just need you to understand
Some
that.
people like me love snacks.
Mm.
I love snacks. We all love snacks. Can I get a clap for snacks? Are you guys awake? Can you hear us? Anybody else?
Oh yeah, I love snacks.
Can anybody hear?
I can. if you got snacks, I'm there. I'm leaving the house now.
Listen, but just be you, because this is what I will say. There will be bosses who don't like you having a LinkedIn presence.
Yeah.
I have heard professionals who are just sharing job openings within the organization they work for being told, hey, that's not your job, don't share our job post. I don't want to work for that boss. He's going to lay me off in 2 years because he doesn't understand how business works. But don't you want to know that? Don't you want to know that's the organization you work for that's going to come try to be hall monitors of your personal page? That's yours. They didn't create it for you.
Yep. True. Yeah, because you know.
So why should they monitor it? And if they want to, I'm like, hey, listen, if we're doing 24-hour coverage, we need to up my pay. Because if I'm on the clock 24/7, you better pay accordingly.
Yeah, pay me while I sleep.
All of a sudden, they don't want the power if they have to pay for it, right? You
Yeah.
can earn it. Don't give it to them, please.
Yeah.
And if you need to move silently, do that. But move away from people who try to control your life. You get one of them, and nobody gets to dictate it but you.
Yeah. And what you mentioned earlier about parents, my wife knows this, and a few people I served in the military with know this. This will be the first time I've mentioned it. My sister called me. I was about 25, so this is 28 years ago. My sister called me from Florida, and she said, "Hey Brian, I'm here at a hospital in Jacksonville with Dad." And I'm like, "What?" It's like, "You found him?" I said, "You know, we've been looking for him ever since I was 13, and you and John were like 6 or 7." And she goes, "Yeah, I finally found him because somehow his new family was able to find me and reach out to me." And so, you know, she was like, "Well, do you want to talk to him?" And I said, "Yeah, I do want to talk to him." And so we talked on the phone. He was in the hospital because he was dying of cancer. And the crazy part is, he was a smoker, but it wasn't lung cancer. You know, crazy. But anyway, you know, I told him, you know, that I started bawling like a baby, you know, and started telling him, you know, that, hey, you know, I'm sorry. And he goes, "Why?" He said, "Why are you sorry?" I said, "I'm sorry because I was a bad child and I made you leave." And about 2 hours before he passed away, you know, I started feeling better about myself, because after I told him that, he said, "No." He said, "No. You were the best son a father could ever have. It was all me." He said, "I wasn't ready to be the father that you needed. That's why I left." He said, "It had nothing to do with you. You were perfect." And it changed my life. You know, it was one of those things that changed my life, changed my outlook on life. You know, because people think that you know, oh well, I'm the problem. I'm the problem. No, you're not the problem. Think about it. You know, if somebody distanced themselves from you, then more than likely, probably 99% of the time, you know, it's going to be because they love you, but they don't feel worthy of that love. You know, and that's the way, you know, my dad was. You know, he didn't feel he was worthy to be a father, so that's why he left us. You
There's a
know.
lot of people Brian, I love what you're saying, but I just want to remind you guys, some of us think when we lose 10 more pounds, then we'll go engage with society. When I get my hair re-dyed, then I can be appropriate to be in public. When I get the new haircut, I haven't had a haircut in a while. I've heard these things, right? But I'm going to be honest, the person who gave me the hug that I needed that one day in junior high, it was a different day than being on the side of the road. I was in suicidal thoughts a lot back then. I got a hug from somebody. I don't remember what they were wearing. I don't remember what they said. I don't remember anything beyond they were there and they listened enough to know in the moment what I needed, and they gave it to me, right? And I don't know what their why was, but I bet you it's because somebody didn't give them the hug they needed. And we all try to be so much for so many people that we get so busy with the details of doing that we forget to just stand there and look around the room who we're serving. Everybody I know, and I'd love to see your hands. Do you have a bad parent story? Like that moment where they failed you somehow, some way, they hurt your feelings, they didn't buy you the pony, they didn't show up to your event, they grounded you for something they should have understood and it was never your fault. They just didn't listen. They didn't hear you, right? I'm a mom, and I told my son, I am so sorry you were the draft. Like, I was learning as I went, and I failed forward on that one, and I had no choice, and I did my best. But did I fail him 110%? For sure. I still do, right? I don't answer the phone sometimes. I miss the call or whatever, and it was like that moment he just wanted to talk to mom. I was loading the groceries out of the car. I still do it. But guys, the why? Am I doing it intentionally, right? If you're my child, this is what I tell you. Why did I do it? Was I mad at you, or did I have to load groceries and my phone wasn't ringing loud enough? If you start asking yourself, why are they gone? There's people who will tell me, listen, I'll disappear on you. Why? Because I have to go inside and do some self-reflecting before I'm available for the public. Okay, what's the time frame? Right? Because me, I don't want you to not be my friend and tell me what I did wrong. And do you hate me? It could be 12 hours. If you haven't messaged, and we usually message every 12 hours, I'm going to go, oh, we're not friends anymore. What'd I do? I said something. It's because I want everybody to love me. And that's because I was always seeking love as a child. And I know this. Gabe's laughing because he knows. I'll text him, like, so what are you doing? You don't love me anymore? Where'd you go? Got a new coach. What happened? It's not true. But I own it, and I'm transparent about it. So when he's like, hey, listen, no, I'm going to be busy all week with my friends, and I got a date, and I got a this, and I got a girlfriend, and I got my show. Look, I know it's not me. But if I didn't have good communication with people I cared about, or vice versa, then how are they feeling? How am I feeling? If there's no communication, is it misunderstood? Don't let that be it, right? We have to be accountable. If you miss somebody, tell them. If you're mad they haven't reached out to you, who you reached out to them?
I'm just gonna say, yeah, because then you just go and assume you haven't heard back from them. You just start assuming all the things.
Can I actually? I don't even know if he's available, but can I ask Gabe to come up, because I know he shared publicly a story about reaching out, and I think it would be a profound thing to share if he's available. And if not, he could just message me if I can share directly. But it was something where it happened by happenstance. I was making my circles, and I actually caught him in hiding on a day that he hides often. And I don't know if he can share. I'm sure he'll let me know. But I would love for him to do it, or write about it, Gabe, and tag Brian so people can follow up, because I know you've talked about it. But it's those moments where you're like, hey, I wonder what's up with my friend. Let me check in. And then all of a sudden, there was something, right? Have you ever been there where you've checked in with somebody because you just thought, maybe I should give them a call, and then they're going through a really rough time?
Yep.
Can you be the light for somebody? Even if you're in your darkness, can you go make somebody else's day brighter? Because usually it's addictive, right, guys? Is that it's kind of a selfish thing? The more you serve, the better you feel.
But at the same time, yeah, at the same time, hello. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, at the same time, it's not really selfish, because it feeds, it feeds upon itself, like in the morning, I get up, look in the mirror. I do my, I guess you call it my Sean Connery James Bond routine. It's not as good as his, but it's okay. But it makes me laugh, you know, and that's how I start my day, you know, by being silly to myself, you know, and showing myself that, you know, it's a good day. I woke up, I seen the sunrise, I seen my loved ones, and that's what people need to realize, you know, is that the sun will always rise. You know, even if the next day starts with storms, you know, behind those storms, the sun's already starting to rise over the horizon. It's coming, you
Was it
know.
Dr. Angelou who said every rain runs out of, or every storm runs out of rain?
Hmm. I believe so.
It
Yep.
can't last forever, guys. I live in the
Yep.
Pacific Northwest, and trust me, we get sun. Believe it or not, there are sunny days. It's true. It
Yep.
does run out. But it's what are you doing during the meantime? Because honestly, let's talk about just like the clouds. I did this week, but storms, we all face them. We all go through happenstances where atmosphere turns up the world around us. And how do you deal with it? Because you could be sad it's raining. You could, go into your feels about the sunshine never being there and how dreary it is. Or you could go, you know what, this is great. Let me get my favorite sweater. Let me get my favorite blanket. Let me go ahead and make that hot cocoa and read that book I've been meaning to read. This is the perfect opportunity. And it's perspective. It's how do you shift out of it? I had a house fire where my child was in an ambulance in front of me. They wouldn't let me in. I just carried her down the stairs, covered in smoke. Like, really, it was a rough day. And in that moment, I was still able to find gratitude for the red jacket that some stranger put on my shoulders and how warm it was and how grateful I was just to have that jacket in the moment. And it was maybe a little nuts, right? Like Joker smiling throughout the chaos. But at the same time, guys, I instead of spiraling, I anchored into gratitude. And my daughter's fine. I'm not saying that's what we got it, but I could have went really far to the other side without, maybe even exceeding what I needed to because she's fine.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's mindset, I think. And if you can't do it alone, do it with a friend. That guy brought me a jacket. I wasn't alone in that day. Somebody reached out to me in my moment
Yep.
and just picked me up and said, "You need this. Let me hand it to you. No question." It didn't even ask me if I needed it. Just draped it kind of over my shoulders, right? Can we be that
And
for each
for
other?
a lot of people, you have to experience something to know your gratitude too. Like for me, I grew up, I would say like low middle class, so I didn't have really like a rough background. My parents worked hard, so they were able to provide for me. Had a relatively well blessed background growing up. However, in college, I got a chance to take a trip to Indonesia. If you've ever been over there, poverty is just ridiculous. Of course, you can even go places. I'm in Texas, so downtown Dallas, downtown Houston, San Antonio. There's a lot of places you can go and see tons of homeless people. But I've seen homeless in Texas, and I've seen homeless in Indonesia, and it's two completely different things to see the living circumstances they have. So a lot of times, gratitude is just something simple, as in like, do I have a roof over my head? Do I have a vehicle that I can drive? Do I I woke up today. Like that's simple. Like I can breathe air right now. I've shared through LinkedIn in the past that I had an emergency. I had a pulmonary embolism for no reason whatsoever. That's blood clots in your lungs. For those of you listening that don't know, I was 30, 31. I was young. I was healthy. I'm like 160 pounds. I work out. I'm athletic. Like there should be no reason why I had a pulmonary embolism, but I did. So just something simple for me, like that's the first thing I'm grateful for when I wake up. I can breathe. There's oxygen flowing in my lungs. I can take a deep breath. Like so, sometimes you have to just experience certain things to be able to get gratitude. And if you need help with that, let me know. I mean, I could probably run through a list. Can you turn on your water, and A, does your water run, and B, can you drink it? Like that's simple stuff that
Yeah.
other people don't.
Listen, sometimes you're grateful for the pain. It means you're not dead yet, right? Like literally, I wake up and go, "Oh, my hip!
Yep.
Yay, me! Yay! We're gonna get this worked out." But honestly, I think the power of gratitude is huge. And sometimes we just need to do simple tasks. Sometimes it's really hard to even just get out of bed, right?
Yep.
So maybe that's the first box. I opened my eyes. You don't even have to see out of them. Did they open? Yay!
And that's why I say gratitude makes for a great attitude.
Right.
Yep. That's
And then
very
you build
true.
on that. Okay, so I got to sit up, or I got to wake up this morning. Can I sit up? Hey, I can sit up on my own. That's huge. There are, and you gotta be very small, micro gratitude to start sometimes. But when you train your brain to be grateful, it's amazing. Today, I'm going to have 2 hours without power. I can tell you right now, I'm really grateful for the fact that my laptop's charged, but I'm looking at my phone going, uh-oh. So, I am super grateful that my phone will charge in my car with my laptop working the same way. But it's the little things in life, guys. So, I don't know. Can we just maybe open it up to say hi to our friends before we go? I would love to say hi to some of these people.
Anybody want to come up?
And I have a quote I want to share too before we
Let's
leave.
do that before we have Gabe come up.
You can go bring him up.
Oh.
Raise that hand back.
Ready to go?
I'll share this quote real quick. And it's there's no contributing author. It's just something I thought of. So it just says something I thought of. Even the dullest of lights in the darkness can seem like the brightest star in a galaxy. So
Very
just
true.
think about that as you are joining the Light Warriors, being a Light Warrior yourself. Like, think about the galaxy as we imagine it. It's dark. One star can make a whole bunch of difference.
Guys, sometimes very simple, and which, by the way, the attribution is Hunter. He doesn't know this as a teacher, which is weird. But that's the guy we should give attribution to there. But the thing is you can do something as simple as make eye contact and smile and just hold it for a count of 3. People glance away so quickly. People don't look at you. People don't feel seen. And so if you can take the time to just say, I love that color, sure. It's something that it's not super personal, but you can still give them something to go, wow, at least my shirt looks nice today. They might feel like trash, but they know their shirt is envied by somebody, right? So small lights. I dig it. Hi, Gabe.
Hi, Gabe.
What's up, Gabe? Welcome.
Hey guys, so it felt like I put my head down on the desk and they say lift your head up and then you put your head back down again when they tell you put your head down. Because I was like, oh gosh, okay.
Heads up, 7 up.
Heads up. Hi! I come up here to say hi. I mean, there's so many other cool people down here in the audience. I don't know if anybody else can talk, but yeah, I was going to say, first of all, love what you guys are talking about. Had to miss the first half. I was busy again with this thing called work. This wish I didn't have to put up with, but yeah. No, I mean, a lot of what you guys have talked about and kind of what Melissa has shared as well. I mean, these are the things that have drawn me to individuals like her. It's the reason why I started working with her in the first place. Trust me, I've had plenty of conversations in over 4.5 years of being on LinkedIn actively. I could have worked with tons of coaches. Honestly, I've had conversations with tons and tons of them. I mean, I got video logs of these things, but it was something about the way that she communicated that did it for me, that connected. So
I yell at him. Don't let him
that too. Because most of them, let's do this. Like, we'll work with you. And she's like, It's like when your grandma tells you, don't sit on the couch with your feet. You don't put your feet on the couch. You sit like a regular person. So that was the whole reason why I was like, okay, cool. Let's do this. So I'm pretty sure that she's had that with many other people down in the audience. So glad that
Gabe, what I love about you, though, is he's a light bringer, guys. He's not I don't know if he's official because Brian, to be honest, I don't even know who's in the tribe. I just know they show up and they make me smile. But what I do like about Gabe is he's authentic. And he is somebody who's had to take breaks. And he's talked about it openly because of, mental burnout. There's a lot of life happening. He did the king of video, or was before his hiatus, and that's how I met him. Is I have my show. I had somebody on And he's like, oh, Gabe was my mentor. But when I met Gabe, he was on a sabbatical. He was going through divorce. He was taking a break from all these shows. He's about to come back. But he's somebody who highlights so many others all the time. And so I just wanted to say that's the only reason I wanted to pick him up and dust him off, is because I saw what he's doing for those around him. And that's something I really value. So I wanted to tell you that, buddy, because I haven't told you that this week.
Oh. Now you make, look, now I'm in my feels. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Except, wow.
It's okay, Gabe. It's okay.
It's
good.
Totally fine.
Yep.
It's all good for real. No, just to be honest, again, I love people who get the opportunity to do this. I haven't always been the best at being able to, I don't know, communicate some of these the way that other people do and collaborate with the way that other people do. So it's one of the things that I'm learning as well, because I feel people have so much to offer. And I love it when I see like 1, 2, 3 people here talking and sharing their own journeys. And, it's one of the things about myself that I love that Melissa's doing this as well. She's opening up about her own journey. We love highlighting people. I do. I love spending time talking about others, bringing others into a different view of themselves. But how often do we do it for ourselves? So I love that she's sharing her own story out there into the world, because it's pretty important to hear. I think people can take a lot from what she's had to share.
Yeah, it is. Very, very true. Speaking of, did y'all hear what happened this past weekend? Did y'all hear? I got nominated to be a Hotness Unleasher. Holy Toledo. That is so awesome.
I was there. I saw that live.
I was like, wow.
Hotness Unleashers, guys, if you don't know who that is, you got to go over to Trevor Van Worden. He's a guy. It's like super cool. Met him in real life. I've met him, hugged him twice. Just so you know. He's a genuine cat who came on LinkedIn last summer and decided he just wanted to be friends with everybody. If you saw him on the playground, I always describe him as a kid who's kind of holding his jeans up that he's going to grow into because mom likes to budget. He's got a baseball cap on. It's kind of always leaning up towards the sky a little bit more than maybe most people. And he's super excited to talk about it. He's one of my favorite people on LinkedIn. You can tell him I talked about him. He's in a sales convention or he'd be here right now. I know.
I always imagine he smells like cupcakes. That's just my own thing, but you know.
He didn't have a scent. I can't tell you that he's got a distinguishable scent. But we were in a coffee shop, so to be fair, that fresh espresso might have masked the smell. But no, he seems clean. I'll say that. He seems like he wasn't a dirty kid at school.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. That's true.
But yeah.
Melissa's going to time out. No, but okay. So when he's done,
put your head down back on the.
Let's go back to him.
But
he does this show where he highlights everybody. He brings a few friends on the stage, and they're supposed to highlight their 4 or 5 favorite people, and the number keeps fluctuating up and down. But he did 2 seasons of it now. He just launched the 2nd season, and Brian was nominated as a Hotness Unleasher, which means somebody out there thought Brian was bringing that heat on LinkedIn, and he got highlighted for it.
And I want to thank someone in the audience for nominating me through the show, and that would be our very own Henry Miller. Henry Miller is, not only is he someone that I can consider a brother as far as from the military and veteran aspect. And that's part of the reason why me and the wife started Light Warriors for Life, is because we lost one of our brothers 2 weeks before Christmas. He didn't get to spend Christmas with his wife and kids because he felt alone. And seeing my wife cry, because that was her NCO. That was her NCO. And then 2 days before Christmas, a 12-year-old child on the East Coast, and I looked at the wife and I said, we have to do better. We have to be better. We can save them all. You know, because like the King of Rohan. Granted, in the movie when he said this line to Gandalf, it was because his son died in combat. But I can tell you right now, having been in the abyss, having stared into the eyes of the darkness, that it is combat because you're fighting for your very life. You're fighting for your light. And, like I said, the King of Rohan looked at Gandalf and said, no parent should ever have to bury their child. And I will say this, and people cannot like me. Good. But you're going to hear it. A child that takes their own life, that extinguishes their light, that's not a failure of their parents. That's not a failure of me. That's not a failure of you. That is a failure of all of us. And,
It goes back to that saying, right? Sorry to interject, but it takes a village to raise a child. I heard that from grandparents growing up, and I was like, whatever, right? Like, it didn't ever resonate with me until I was a mom who had a teenager who was driving me freaking batty. And he would go to the rest of the family and kind of do whatever he was doing, and without them pushing back and being that village that would say, listen, that's your mother, those are the rules, that's your responsibility, that's accountability, whatever it is. Without that, he could have been lost. And I think that's true for society as a whole. We have to be the village for the kids because the parents have to work. And we're asking parents to work 2 and 3 jobs now to support themselves in a lot of situations and circumstances. And those kids are paying the price.
Yep.
They're lonely. They're hungry. They're angry. They're tired. Nobody's taking care of them. And those kids then have to go into the workforce, and they still have nobody looking out for them because now they're grown-ups and they need to go out. And it's even more, right? Because now you got all of that same battle, but pay rent too.
Yep.
And then you have a boss maybe that's not kind, and then you got all of that on the back end. You could see how quickly this can snowball. And the kids who were picked on the playground are here on LinkedIn now. Some of them are bullies, some of them are the recipients. But if you can be that one kind friend, it changes a lot.
Yep.
A lot. You need one best friend to not feel alone, right? And so who can you adopt? Who can you just reach out to and go, man, you know what, your content's so cool, we should just be friendly so you know you're not alone and you're motivating something. Because it can be that simple as a thank you.
Yep.
Something so simple. Just a quick message, I watch your content, thank you for being you, don't give up, keep going.
Very true. Very true. People talk about, and the words to me that I hear a lot have become hollow to me, and that's be a good human. Those words to me, they seem hollow, especially when people talk about, well, look at the evolution of man. Okay, well, so are we done? Are we done? No, we're not done. We can still evolve. We can evolve from a good human to a great human. Everyone has the ability to become a great human, to evolve.
Stay learning, right? Stay learning and improve yourself. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be science-based. Like, who do you want to be when you grow up, and are you done?
I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. Who's got snacks?
Like,
who's got snacks?
That's what I want to do.
If you got snacks, I'm there.
Well, Randy's got the snacks. Like, I still dream about her singing Marshmallow Bars, and now LinkedIn's hiding her from me because I was too big a fan or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. But
anyway, listen, guys.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who needs to be heard? DM us. Raise your hand right now. You want to talk? This is the time. I always got moved at the end of like church when they're like, okay, anybody who wants to talk, or anybody who wants to accept, or anybody. But it's the same thing. When you're ready to accept that change, whatever that change may be, You have to step into it when you're motivated because you're not going to do it otherwise. If you hesitate on the top of the diving board, you're not going to jump. You're going to climb back down. But if you just jump in when you're feeling it, if you just go full throttle and don't slow down towards the end of that board and you just go, you're going to get it accomplished, right? There's that action that creates success. And so just jump into it, whatever it is, privately, openly, we're here. Don't be alone.
And if
Don't
you
be
ever,
hungry either.
Don't be hungry, and be everybody's best friend here. So if you want to reach out to me, you can. I'll be your best friend.
He's really cool. He's got all the fun tools and everything. And he'll record you and make you into like fun little sound bites.
Oh yeah, I recorded it on Saturday. So well, not all of it, just a lot of her. So
Good. I still haven't heard it though. I don't.
and if you ever have, hello, oh yeah, and if you ever, just if you feel, then stop for a minute. Stop. One of the things having an analytical mind. One of my things is sometimes I can go 150 mile an hour in 5 different directions. And people are like, "Oh, dude, what are you doing?" so what I have to do is I have to stop, breathe, and then think. And when you think, when you get to the think part, this is what I have done, in my life. Whenever somebody, whenever I feel that my worth and my value is less than what it actually is, stop, and the darkness can hear you. You don't have to say this out loud. You can say this mentally. That's one of the aspects I've created into the creation of the character for the films, is that he can hear you regardless of whether you use your voice or not. But if you need to, use your voice and say, I have value. I have worth. I am a warrior for the light. And believe it or not, for me, it makes me feel better. Because I hear the value. I hear the worth, being said either out loud or when I say it mentally, when I'm in the grocery store or something. It because you can always hear in your mind's eye when you speak to yourself. And so that helps me out, I'm just trying to help, people, realize that they have value, they have worth, because everybody, we're all human, after all, we're all human. We all have value, we all have worth.
Very unique voice too, Brian. Like that's the one thing. Is I know you're struggling at times because I can tell you're emotionally attached to this, and I just want you to know that's what I love, is you're willing to just jump in and do what you need to do to get it done for those people. And so I wanted to say that to you. We appreciate you. I do have a call in 15 minutes and my bladder's mad, and if you've ever been on a show, you know what that means. I had
Yeah, and I think I ran over my time. LinkedIn will probably put me in a corner now.
They won't, but your friends are going to wonder. They're going to be like, so how long are we supposed to stay before we can run, and how rude is it to go? And
yeah, just whenever you gotta, hey,
anyways.
Yeah, we're all, this is an open forum, and it's you got things to do. Real life happens.
Thanks for putting this together, Brian. And thanks for reaching out to us to co-host with you.
Thank you.
It's definitely been a pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you very much for.
I didn't get to.
Oh.
I was just gonna say my only regret is I didn't get to record Brian trying to say skeptical.
Oh hush!
Hey, but if it makes somebody laugh, and smile, it's all worth it.
Brian, you should see Gabe. Like his cat comes in while he's going live and like moves his light. He drops the whole webcam falls over or whatever. It's so great. And you're talking about skeptical. Yeah, we're done.
It's fun. Plus, you said something a minute ago that was a lyric to a song, so now it's stuck in my head, so I'm going to go listen to that too. Okay.
And here's impact.
All
That's
right.
how you know
Well,
it worked. I gotta go, guys. Thank you
okay.
so much.
Thank y'all very much.
I would love to know you.
Yep, reach out.
Okay.
Do it. Reach out.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
And thank y'all very much for being on the show. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Love y'all.
Keep doing you. Bye.
All right. Bye.